Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. And in this video we are going to talk about the European UEFA final competition finals. All the competition semi-finals have now been conducted and we have got our finalists for UEFA Champions League 2024-25, UEFA Europa League 2024-25, and of course UEFA Conference League 2024-25. And I have to say, a lot of these entries and a lot of clubs out there, this is really an exciting and a new combination of teams when it comes to playing finals. If you talk about, first of all, Champions League, the final has been between Inter and PSG. I made a lot about this Inter versus Barcelona game of the semi-final, though I could not make much about the second leg of I could not make a video about the second leg of Arsenal versus PSG, though it was just, I would say, PSG domination. And Arsenal, there were some moments, but I think PSG was a better side, and that is why they deserved to go through. And yeah, here we are. And of course, PSG has never won a Champions League, so if they won, then it'll be the first Champions League. We'll get a new Champions League winner. First a team winning their first ever Champions League. The last time I remember when this thing happened in Champions League was probably the Chelsea team of 2011 and 2012. So it's been quite long since a team has won Champions League, which is their first and a maiden Champions League. So yeah, it'll be interesting. And of course, then we've got Inter. Inter has some heritage in terms of Champions League, having won a treble in 2009-10, though that was the last time they won the Champions League, and total having been three times winner of the same. Though, yeah, as I said, it's been quite some time, more than 15 years, around like 15 years now since the last one. So if they won, it's gonna be the fourth one, and of course, the first in the last 14-15 years. So yeah, that is great, man. And it's really exciting to see a new Champions League winner. So yeah, so I think, no, man, I would like to correct myself, before going forward, that the last time we got a maiden Champions League winner, that was of course Manchester City in 2022-23. It was just that they have been so much, having so many honors in terms of winning Premier League and all, then it feels like as if they had achieved it before, but which they didn't. So yeah, that is a correction I would like to make. But okay, moving on to Europa League final. This is an all English team final. Okay, this has to be one of the most, what I must say, like an interesting final, given the fact, this situation, the current predicament in which both the teams are, which is Tottenham Hotspur being at 16th in Premier League, whereas Manchester United being 14th. So these two teams they are like in lower bottom. If teams like Leicester and Ipswich were way competitive and better, like even if they were a little bit better, then any of them could have been in a relegation battle, and that's not a good sign for a club at this stage. But in spite of having a disastrous of the seasons they are having in Premier League, their campaign of Europa League is something to be praised about, specifically of United. Them going invincible. They are currently the only European team in the Europe who hasn't lost a single match, and that is an impressive stat. Okay, because teams in Europa Leagues aren't that easy as well. Whereas Tottenham, they also have been playing pretty good. There were some ups and downs even in Europa League, with the kind of gameplay they have in terms of Ange Postecoglou and everything, but they still managed. I think Ange has been now adapting and understanding things way more better. I mean, he's a stubborn person. That is something you tend to see a lot in the media and all, which I understand, and there is an evidence to that. But I think he's improving. He's understanding stuff since he's a proper grown-up adult. Let's hope he improves and he does something good at Spurs. And when you talk about competition about his club which has a deep heritage with that, deeply rooted heritage with that competition. For example, in Champions League, AC Milan hasn't won a Champions League since almost now 20 years. Last they won in was 2007 when Kaká won the Ballon d'Or, but they have got 7 Champions League, the second most after of course Real Madrid. So they are a heritage club in terms of Champions League. Similar way, for a lot of new football viewers, Spurs, Tottenham Hotspur is a Europa League heritage club. They were the one who first won the Europa League in the first edition. Okay, and they I think have 2 or 3 Europa Leagues. They actually have way more European legacy than Arsenal. Okay, and that's a fact. And Manchester United, they were in the Europa League final in 2022 as well, which they lost quite closely to Villarreal, and before that they won it in 2017. so they do have the experience of the same, and it'll be interesting how it's gonna end, because this trophy means a lot to both the clubs. If Spurs win it, it's gonna be historic as hell in in the world of internet. All the memes and everything of Spurs being trophyless and all, like Harry Kane being trophyless, but now getting a trophy, and Spurs at the same time also doing this thing. It's the whole world is ain't ready for this, and it could be a possibility. And Manchester United going on winning it, their third trophy in the third season, in spite of being the struggles and every disaster of a campaign in the past two Premier League has been. It's pretty interesting, and and it's pretty surprising that any of these two team is going to play Champions League next season, given how they perform in the final, of course, and like how they performed in Premier League. It's surprising, but yeah, it is what it is. And last but not the least, we're gonna talk about the goated competition called as Europa Conference League, where the GOAT Antony is playing against the small team called Chelsea. Okay, Real Betis versus Chelsea is the final of Conference League. It is the third consecutive year of heartbreak for Fiorentina in Conference League after back-to-back finals losses. They now got knocked out in the semi-final. It's really sad. I wanted them to win at least once, but they couldn't. But yeah, but it is what it is. But now the stage is set. Antony is getting his redemption. There's definitely, the guy has improved and he's playing amazingly well. Same for Isco. He's been brilliant with Real Betis. It's amazing how they are turning up. And the moment this campaign, this year Conference League was started, the outright biggest favorites were definitely Chelsea. And it was so obvious, and it makes sense, because how big of a squad they have and all those players and everything, and the money they spend. But I'll tell you what, I believe Real Betis can go through, because this competition would be the first European trophy for Real Betis in the club's history. Okay, Conference League means more to them in terms of their history and heritage than it would be to Chelsea. That's a fact. Okay, I don't think, from the current situation and the predicament Chelsea is, they would want to win the Conference League to get at least say for the Europa League spot. But I think in terms of historicness and things, everything, I think it's more matters the most to Real Betis, and it'll be interesting how it happens, like how it ends, because this is a 50-50 match. People may think Chelsea is the outright favorite, which I understand, but the way things are, the way situations are, I think it is a 50-51. Okay, so yeah, these are the all three matches, these fixtures of the finals which we have got.